We have a very special guest here. We're really proud to bring him to you. His name is Anthony Hitt. He is our CEO. This man is labeled as one of the top 200 people by Swan Poll, the 200 most powerful people in residential real estate. He's got quite the resume, let me tell you. One of the top Sotheby's agents, actually the number one Sotheby's agent for a while, out of Los Angeles, and I think in the world at one point, which is pretty amazing. And he's here with us today. Now our CEO with Engel and Vlkers Americas. Anthony, welcome to the DiSpirito Team Real Estate Show.
Well, good morning and aloha. I'm actually coming to you from Hawaii. Like a lot of people, I'm working remote for a couple of weeks here.
Let's talk about. I've got several questions for you, Anthony.
Let's do it. Thanks for inviting me.
You're welcome. Thank you. Appreciate you being here. So Joe and I, when we jumped on with Engel and Vlkers, I mean, part of that, we were pretty impressed by obviously the support and the people that we have behind the scenes, the people that we got to meet, industry leaders. So let's talk about you, right? So you're running this company. You have over 4,500 agents that you are now pretty much in charge of, right? Advisors, I should say. I'm sorry. And 200 and almost 250 shops all across the Americas. Anthony, you took this on in what, 2014, was it?
I joined Engel and Vlkers as a head of real estate, basically to coach agents in California. And in 2014, moved to New York City as actually in 2012, moved to New York City as the COO, and then 2 years later became the CEO when Christian Vlkers and I had some very serious conversations about what this brand could be in the Americas.
Got you. Okay. And when you started it, where was it at?
It's almost impossible to believe, but it just goes to show what really good goal setting, a lot of support from our corporate headquarters in Hamburg, and attracting the absolute best talent in this real estate industry, whether it be from a support standpoint that you mentioned in New York City, or the type of advisors and leaders that we brought in, like you and your team there. When we started, we had 23 locations in the United States, none in Canada, none in the Caribbean or Mexico. We had about 200 advisors, and embarrassingly, I will tell you that group was not living up, not all of them. We had some great shops that are still part of our network, but a lot of them weren't living up to the expectation of what this brand is supposed to be. So we started it pretty humble in the Americas. It took a little time to get our footing, but since then, as you said, we've got over 250 locations. We've got going on 5,000 advisors, which, by the way, was our goal for 2020 back then, 10 years ago, to be at 5,000 advisors by this year. And we've got some of the most productive advisors in the world, actually. So.
Absolutely. So let's talk a little bit, because that's quite impressive in such a short amount of time. Let's talk a little bit about who is E&V, who is Engel and Vlkers. You know, our listeners, they may have heard of our brand in travels. We've got the iconic brand, the shops, everything. Just a beautiful shop. Definitely recognize it if you've seen it in travels. Let's talk a little bit about who Engel and Vlkers is, what we are.
Well, without question, we are kind of one of those, like a lot of luxury or premium products. If you know, you know, and there's a lot of people around the globe that have worked with an Engel and Vlkers shops at a lot of price points. You immediately think about us selling, chateaus and mansions and castles in Europe. But the fact of the matter is, we've been working, mainstream and with discerning clients, for about 45 years now. That being said, our brand is about quality first, and quantity second, and that's kind of where we come from. The brand starts in 1977. Dirk Engel actually starts his real estate shop in a very affluent neighborhood in Hamburg, Germany, and he brings on this really smart guy, kind of to be a back of the house guy to take care of the business while he's out, generating new listings and taking care of clients. And so that's Christian Vlkers. Eventually, they become great friends. Of course, then they become business partners. And over time, Christian then becomes the lead in the organization and has led us to this incredible place, like you said, with an incredible brand, known for quality, known for taking care of their clients, putting their needs first. And I think that's where our true success, we've got about 4,500 advisors in the Americas, but globally, we're about 14,000 advisors.
Wow. Yeah, it's a big company. So let's talk about that real quick, because I'm going to bring something up. So back in 2010, before you joined Engel Vlkers, there was a branch here. There was a shop here in Rhode Island, and that shop failed. That shop failed. I'm not sure, what type of history you might know about it, but a couple people have brought that up to me. And I think when people bring that stuff up, I think it's funny, right? Whole different company. But let's hear it from you, the CEO. What do you think happened, and what's the difference now?
You told me this was going to be a no holds punch. You were going to actually bring it out. We're going to have an honest conversation, and I love that. I didn't meet the people who were there. Let me be very clear. I never met them. But what I know about this brand, and I do know all the details, because the reality is, if you're going to be an expert in something, if you're going to lead an organization, you need to know everything there is to know. When the brand came to the US, if I'm being quite honest, they were a little arrogant, maybe a little confident, maybe didn't do as much due diligence as they should about the level of sophistication in the market, and what a discerning buyer or seller would expect from great representation in the market. And with that, some of the selection process as to how we go about finding who should represent us in a market maybe wasn't as strong as it should have been. And we definitely brought on a few shops back then that should have not been in our network. As a matter of fact, when I first joined the brand, one of the first things I did is I closed quite a few locations that were not going to be up to the par that would become Engel Vlkers. We are a franchise organization like Sotheby's, like any of the other major real estate brands. But we're not one that just accepts anybody who wants to be a shop, at least not anymore in the Americas, or any place else for that matter. We are, as you know firsthand, we are very selective. When we go into a market, we're looking for the partner who is already has the mindset to take care of their clients, put their clients' need first. We are looking for the team of true real estate advisors who are already set up to work in a certain way, and that we can just evolve together with. So it's not about changing you into a better or teaching you to be a better. You're already a great, and that's why we attract you and other people into the brand. So we started with a less than perfect way of vetting, and we've made changes on that, again, 10 years ago now. And I'm proud to say that our shops do extremely well in the Americas, and we haven't closed one for quite a while now, which is good.
Yeah, no, that's pretty amazing. And you know what? I love the transparency, Anthony. And I got to tell you, that's one of the reasons I have listeners that call me all the time. They say, Emilio, thank you for just serving it up, just straight up. You just telling us how it is. It's amazing.
I actually think that's, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to overspeak you there, but I mean, that's one of the things that I think makes a good real estate advisor or a great leader in a shop. The idea that, clients want transparency now. Our whole shop design, you're talking about the iconic shops. Our whole shop design is based on transparency. It used to be, if you went to a really nice restaurant, let's say 20, 30, 40 years ago, you never saw the kitchen. It was in the back or in the basement or upstairs, and you had no idea how it was going. Well, over the years, we've lost our confidence. We've lost our trust in a lot of our institutions and a lot of the way things are done. And using that restaurant analogy, if you go into the finest restaurants now, where's the kitchen? Right smack in the middle of everything. You can see everything the way it's being done. Well, our real estate shops are designed the same way. It's not about a whole bunch of things covering up the front windows where you can't see in. It's about being able to look in, look through, see people, clean, organized, put together, the way people want to be represented in the market. They want, to be able to see what's going on. They want that full transparency, whether it's good news or unfortunately sometimes not so good news. They want to see that. So I think that's probably one of the reasons you and I hit it off almost immediately when we met each other.
Anthony, culinary is an art, right? And I also, what I love, what happened with all of this change in the way we do stuff, with the way we go out to eat, the way the Engel Vlkers shops are, where you can see right in, see everything, very transparent. I love it because also, why wouldn't you want to see a fantastic chef prepare a meal? It's a showpiece. Never mind, how about marketing, negotiations, people skills? It's also another art that I think our advisors do better than anybody else in the world. I want to jump in. I want to talk with Anthony about the market in general. I mean, Anthony is a member of the Forbes Real Estate Council. He's recognized over and over by the Swampole list for being the top 200 most powerful people in residential real estate. We want to hear it right from the horse's mouth. Anthony, in 2020, real estate really took a turn that no one expected it would take. Luxury, the main market, so pretty much every price point got really crazy. Can you talk about that 2020 market, what you think happened there?
Absolutely. I mean, I work with a lot of economists. I follow a lot of the same economists, and obviously have an opportunity to speak to some of the best people in all the networks. Because one thing about Engel Vlkers, if it's one of the best markets, we're going to be there. So we've got leadership in those markets to talk about. And we were all very aggressive about what 2020 was going to look like as we were working on our business plans and our models in late 2019. The year started, like almost everyone in their lives in 2020, normal. It wasn't extremely good. It certainly wasn't extremely bad across the board. And then there was the hint of this virus, this coronavirus at the time, and all of a sudden in March the shutdown started beginning and the panic, and like a lot of businesses, real estate, we're looking at how are we going to shut down and survive and get through it with everyone else. So we expected the market to tank. We thought everybody was just going to stay put, and that was going to be that. Almost immediately, as I know you guys are well aware. We were looking at the powers that be. We're looking at what are essential services. What is it that people absolutely can't live without? And in most markets in the Americas, real estate was deemed essential, right next to groceries, healthcare. It makes sense. I mean, if you look at just Maslow's hierarchy, you got to have your home. What was not expected, though, was how many people were going to do what I call the COVID shuffle. And that is the idea that if they were living in a metropolitan area, they decided maybe they didn't want to be in the metropolitan area right then, especially we're looking at New York City, which was kind of the epicenter in the early days of this. And so what happened is all those New Yorkers decided to go back out to their holiday homes or their rural homes or be near family. And while they were there, they said, hey, this isn't so bad. And why they started using their Zoom calls and their Google Meets and doing business in new ways, realizing, wait a minute, not only is this not so bad, I kind of like this. And my guess is I'm going to be able to continue doing this when we get back to whatever that new normal is. And so that then brought on this really big push of new transactions. In the United States, in a typical year, we're going to do about 5 million transactions. Last year, we did over 7 million transactions. That's how many people were moving. That's how many people were buying and selling. So what we saw in holiday home markets is people were going to their holiday homes and realizing, this isn't big enough now that I've got my entire family here, my in-laws are here, and we're homeschooling. So they upgraded to bigger places. Other people wanted to go to their holiday homes, and they usually rent. They, wait a minute, I don't want to rent anymore. I want to buy. So they were buying their holiday homes. Other people who had not sold had decided this is my time to make haste, and so they sold their properties. And we saw that going on all throughout the country. What's really fascinating to me, though, because people say, well, then does that mean cities are dead? And the reality is that doesn't seem to be the case, because while there was a lot of transaction volume in the New York cities and the San Franciscos and some of the major metros, people weren't selling those properties. They were going out and buying those second homes. They were upgrading those second homes. They were creating another place to live their future, their current and their future life. But they held on to those roots in the cities, which meant the markets in the cities were a little tough. Now the markets in the cities are starting to boom back up. So what happened is that COVID shuffle brought those extra 2 million transactions, which put a lot of demand into the market, a lot of excitement, and a lot of people ended up buying really beautiful new places to live the next new normal of their life in. And it's certainly been a boom for the real estate industry, and that was not expected by anyone.
Anthony, we had people lined down the road. There were some open houses where the news actually put our open houses up during the pandemic. I mean, we're still in the pandemic, but during like the midst of it, we had a whole line of people going down the road, multiple offers on almost every house we list.
And your market's a great market, no doubt about it. But that's not a normal situation in your market. I mean, you don't usually have the news covering a line to see an open house, as you would see, a new iPhone coming out. But that's the kind of things that we saw in a lot of markets. And we saw a lot of rural markets that have never seen multiple offer situations that were for the first time dealing with 10 or 15 offers on a property. And I think why that's so important, especially to your audience, especially if there's somebody looking to buy or sell, you can't afford to have your best friend who just got their license, no matter how much you love them. You can't afford to have your cousin's son representing you. You've got to have really strong real estate advisors taking care of you in those markets. Whether you're selling and you're wanting to absolutely get the best price and terms there, or whether you're buying and you're competing with that entire line of people out there that are trying to buy that same house that you are. And it's not always just about how much you're willing to pay. It's like, oh, it doesn't make a difference as long as I pay more. That's not, that, Emilio. It's not always who's going to pay the most. It's who's got the right representation, who can make that transaction go all the way.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Anthony, let's talk about 2021, right? We're here now, 2021. The winter has been, I can tell you here in Rhode Island, hot. I'm talking with my friends all over the country, brokers all over the country, advisors everywhere, and the market seems to be hotter than ever. Where do you see the 2021 real estate market going?
I'm one of those people that I'm not a pessimist by any means, but I'm definitely a realist, and so I'm always under that impression, that the other shoe's going to fall. This is going to be over soon. There's no way we can sustain this type of market. But I will tell you, if you look at almost every leading economist, they're very bullish for 2021 that the market will stay very much like it is right now. In some cases, it may cool off a little bit. In other places, it may warm up even more. But the reality is that we're pretty bullish about that. At the end of the year, I spoke to the lead in every one of our shops in the Americas, over 250 different shops. And I will tell you that with virtually no exceptions, they were all also very bullish about what 2021 is going to look like. So if I use January as an indicator, last year we ended our year, we were 42% over our previous year, which is just unheard of. An organization our size to be 42% year over year is incredible. Our January, which is usually a little slower month because there's a lot of people getting across the finish line at the end of December every year, has also already been a record January for us as well. And I think we're going to see that continue. So it's certainly a good time if you're thinking about selling to reach out to you or someone in one of our Engel Vlkers shops. And if you're looking at buying, I think there's some really great opportunities out there, and make sure you've got the right representation.
Now you're saying that you feel like the shoe could drop, the other shoe could drop. I don't disagree.
What I'm saying is wrong. Everyone has told me I am wrong. I just what goes up must change or come down a little bit, but it's not in 2021.
Yes, yeah, and you know what, and I feel like that could happen too, as well. And I'm kind of wondering, is that going to be the 2022 market? Whenever there's a market shift, there's opportunity. It's kind of like the shift in powers, and I'm not going to get political, but anytime there's a shift in powers, there's new things to invest in, there's new regulations to take advantage of. There's all sorts of new. That's capitalism, and that's it at its best. So I got to tell you, when it turns into a level market where buyers and sellers can now compete on a more even basis, it's not necessarily a bad thing. When it turns into a buyer's market, that's not necessarily a bad thing either. It's great for buyers. There is opportunity left and right. You just got to know where to look in real estate. And that's where the right advisor is going to help guide you through to make sure you're not overpaying and that you are either happy and staying or you're selling and what rhymes with selling and loving your dwelling. You know what I mean?
Yeah, can I just add a point there? Because I was listening to you and I was thinking about what I've just said. I think the audience could think, these guys are just doing a commercial about how they need to work with an ENB agent, advisors, of course, as we call them. And I want to be very clear. Yes, we would love for you to work with somebody with this brand because we know who we are. We know how we do business. We know what makes us different than most of our competition. But the reality is a really good real estate agent is something I'm very, very passionate about because I know, you know how it is when you're in the kitchen, you get to see. And I see, I've done a lot of transactions myself. I'm seeing a lot of transactions done at all price points in this industry. what goes on. And I know what bad representation means to the consumer. And I know that that bad representation that's bad to the consumer is ultimately bad to our industry as well. And so it's whether you're their E&V or not, it's just really important that your audience vets their real estate professionals. We call them advisors because anyone can go get a real estate license. I mean, heck, I passed mine my first time setting for it in California a long time ago. That should say something about how easy it is to get a real estate license. The fact of the matter is, just because you have a license doesn't mean you're qualified to represent somebody on the sale of or the purchase of one of their largest assets.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't disagree with that. And I hear you. I mean, it's quite easy for somebody to tune in and hear a snippet of it and not hear the whole thing. But our listeners know what we're all about. Super, just say it how it is. We see it all. We see the good, we see the bad, we see the ugly. And there's plenty of all of that in any industry.
Anthony, previous segment, you had mentioned the word advisor, you've mentioned the word shop. And I think a good question that listeners might be wondering, why advisor versus agent and why shop versus office?
The first topic, as you might have noticed in the last segment, I'm very passionate about. The fact is anyone can get a real estate license. I mean, the fact is you can take a class and teach you how to take a test. You go take a test and you've got a license. But to be an advisor, you have to really take this seriously. We were talking about a chef in the earlier segment. This is someone who knows their craft. They know what they're doing. They study the market. They're experts in the market. They can advise you on the contract. They can explain disclosures and everything to do with those disclosures. They know the principal at the high school. They know the leaders in local business. That's what an advisor is all about. So an agent is someone who has a license. A realtor is someone who has joined the National Association of Realtors. But an advisor is someone who's actually there to advise you on the sale of or purchase of or leasing a particular property, but somebody who works very hard at it. They're not part-time. They didn't just get their license yesterday. And if they did just get their license yesterday, they're working with an experienced team so they can become masters of their craft as well, just like that chef, just like some of the other business leaders. So that's an advisor. A shop, I've always kind of thought it was interesting. If you look at our roots of our brand in Germany, a lot of the real estate companies have little real estate shops. But Christian Vlkers and Dirk Engel took it to a completely different level. And so it started basically because of just the culture in the area, that's just where you put a real estate office at the time. But what they immediately realized is all the other places looked a lot alike. Frankly, a lot of our real estate offices that you see, not ours, but the industry's real estate offices you'll see on Main Street. You walk down, there's all these printouts of different properties stuck on the window. You can't hardly see in. If you can see in, you've got some furniture from the 80s and you can't see past it. There's a plant that has overgrown itself and dusty and a pile of magazines. And then maybe back there someplace there's some business going on and maybe not. Christian very quickly saw, and this is very much before an Apple store or some of those other locations, that's not the way real estate should look, especially in the luxury segment. And so they rethought the whole idea. White is kind of our brand color, and white is about transparency. It's about purity. And so he opened up our shop so you see everything through. We display properties in our front windows. We call them jewelry cases because you can still see in, but you can also see the beautiful properties that are available. And if you come in, you can feel comfortable, you can feel welcome, just a very hospitable environment. My favorite line that Christian told me a long time ago about that is people don't office for a new home. They shop for a new home. And so, of course, we have shops. And so that's kind of the simple answer, if you will, about why advisors and why shops. The fact of the matter is real estate in most markets in the world and the Americas and Rhode Island is exactly the same way. For the most part, every real estate brand is exactly the same. I call them, you can just insert logo here brands. And it really doesn't make any difference. One just happens to be blue and green, and the other one happens to be red and orange. Engel Vlkers strives not to be another just insert logo here brand. We want to be different. We want to stand out. It's very important to us that the people we bring into our brand think very similarly that we do about taking good care of our clients. And so the shops and the advisor is just one way that we say we're not like everyone else. We're going to do things differently. We're going to do something better. And that you work with Engel Vlkers, whether it be in Rhode Island whether it be in Beverly Hills, whether it be in Slidell, Louisiana, or the Côte d'Azur in France, you're going to find premium representation.
That's one of the things, Joe, that attracted us to Engel Vlkers. When they reached out to us, we looked at the brand. We were like, wow, that umlaut over the O is really sexy. It's like the Motley Crue logo. You know, a good friend of mine, Greg Rice, he's a fantastic guy. He comes on the show often. He said, you know what, Emilio, Motley Crue wasn't successful until they put the umlaut over the O. And I was like, wow, you know what? It's just such an attractive looking brand. And we appreciated that. Another thing, too, that we appreciate, Anthony, is we've always hired our agents on the DiSpirito team, which are now advisors, with the same model that Engel Vlkers did, with the exclusivity, competence, and passion. And, you know, when George Perez, he's one of the VPs of expansion, contacted us and went over that, I was like, Joe, dude, we got to talk with these guys. You know, this is just an amazing brand.
A lot of people know that real estate brands, virtually all real estate brands, are franchises. And you can pick up the phone and call somebody and they'll come out and talk to you. And if you'll write the check, then you can be a franchise. We don't do business that way. We do a lot of research, not only about who's doing business, who's doing the business in the segment we want, who has the reputation in the market that we want to be affiliated with, who's taking really good care of their clients. And as you know, after we reach out to you, if there's that interest, we start the conversation, but then you go through an entire vetting process before we would ever bring you on board. So I'll be very clear that we are very selective about who we bring on. And we are also very proud to have you and Joe and everyone on the team there as part of our global family now.
Thank you. That's awesome. Appreciate that. And, you know, and I wanted to ask you, I never got to ask you this before. And why not? I'm going to throw you right in the center ring over here. Why Rhode Island? I mean, you know, Rhode Island, the smallest state in the country. It's not New York City. It's not Boston. It's not Chicago. Why Rhode Island, Anthony?
Well, so many lines. I can start with one of our brand themes is less is more, because you might be one of the smallest states in the union, but there's a lot of more there. Let me go back again and talk about how our brand expands. You know, I mentioned earlier that we started in Hamburg, Germany. The idea has always been about our expansion, and it wasn't just about who can we sell a franchise to, where can we, do more business. It's always been about following the traffic. So when Engel Vlkers opens in Hamburg, the next place they go is Berlin. Then they go down to Frankfurt. People in Germany have a tendency to vacation in the Balearic Islands off Spain. So we go down and we open up in Mallorca, and then we come back up into Barcelona and Madrid. South Africa becomes the next. We come into the United States in the late, around 2009, and we open in Florida. A lot of Europeans love coming to the Americas and Florida and vacationing. From Florida, we open up in New York City, and we also open up in California. And if you look at the way that goes, it's just a spider web of how we expand. So eventually, of course, Rhode Island becomes part of that network. If you look at just the history of Rhode Island, the fact that it's always been kind of this hub. It might be a small place, but it's definitely kind of a hub for the Northeast. People from Boston, New York City, on and on. You and I were talking earlier about just the hospitableness of Rhode Island. So not only did it start off to be maybe a kind of a hub or a good stopping place, a place that you would stop off on that journey, it's now becoming a true destination. And as a true destination, it's a place that not only are New Yorkers moving to right now, not only is it where Boston and other parts of the Northeast, and frankly, not only just the Northeast, but the entire United States is moving to. The globe knows about Rhode Island now too. I mean, your airport there at TF Green, you've got international flights coming in from all over the world now. So you're on the map. You know this. I mean, you can tell your listeners far better than I can why Rhode Island. But for us, it's just purely simple. We are where our clients are in the world's best locations. And you're in one of the world's best locations, which has been proven over and over and over again.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yep. No, wanted to hear it right from the horse's mouth. That's great.
And we found really, really, really awesome partners in the area too. Because again, just because we want to be there doesn't mean we can always find the right partner that we had opened up with. And we were so fortunate that we found you and Joe and your team, because that's what it's all about.
Thank you. Likewise. And we're really excited. We're going to be opening our first shop up in East Greenwich, Rhode Island. We picked East Greenwich because it's centrally located. We're able to service all of Rhode Island. Our licensed advisors also are licensed in Massachusetts and Connecticut. So we can still service all of our clients. But now we can expand on that and also provide a service for our luxury clients. And, you know, over the past couple of years, Anthony, one of the things we've been doing is our business has been growing, our reputation has been growing, and we've listed some really iconic properties here in Rhode Island and Massachusetts and going into Connecticut. So we were really, really humbled and proud to connect with the brands like Engel and Vlkers. We appreciate the support. Second to none. We really appreciate you coming on here, and we look forward to speaking with you again.
Well, thank you again so much for inviting me. I cannot wait to get back into on the mainland and eventually up to see your new shop when it opens. Hopefully, I can be there for the grand opening. And you know, again, thanks for everything you guys are doing. We found absolutely the right partners there, and we couldn't be more thrilled and more honored to be connected with you guys.